Green Skills acknowledges the Manang and Pibbleman people of the Noongar Nation as the traditional custodians of this land and pays respect to their elders, past, present and emerging. The Nullaki, Wilson Inlet, is a place close to the hearts of First Nations people with their long connection and deep knowledge of country, and also to newcomers and visitors who enjoy its natural beauty and values. During the Knowing Nullaki Festival, run jointly by Green Skills and artist and biodiversity educator Angela Rossen, with cultural educator and elder Vernice Gillies, locals and visitors gained insights through two-way knowledge, First Nations and Western science and art.
I look at this and this is just home. This is safety, this is protection for all of us, this is food sources, this is people coming together from different regions at certain times of the year to enjoy the fishing, the fishing seasons, using the fish traps. This is just a place of pure happiness, and it's just unique, really is so unique. It's also made a huge breeding ground for our swans, our wheeler, and as well as our other wading birds and things here as well. There's such a beautiful cooperation going on here between these plants, the moss beds, and what else they support here, as well as so much other activity which we'll have a look at in a minute as well. These resurrection plant, so far as we know, they're the only plants on the planet that actually eat rocks, okay? In a rough sense, they actually break down the rocks and probably the minerals out of that. It's also a food source for our little wallabies as well, okay? Now this whole area, there's so much reference to wallabies. The Quora, okay? The Denmark River is the Quora Bup, place of wallabies. What little wallabies used to come down and drink. Please grab some leaves and make a nice soap. Yeah, there you go. So get enough leaves to make a bit. So get a bit more if you like, and So drop boron. Okay, this one. Obviously, it's a water indicator. It's a lovely soap. It's an antiseptic. So a number of people would get some of the leaves and make up as much soap as they possibly could. Lots and lots of soap. Put it into that waterway. Okay, give it a couple of minutes, all the fish come to the surface.
And that little bandicoot is our little gardener, isn't it? That's our, without that little bandicoot, we'd have hardly anything here. A lot of our wildflowers probably wouldn't flower anymore, and our tubers wouldn't produce anymore. Because this little bandicoot goes along and does just what we just did then. Okay, it's dug up around the base, so it's going to aerate the soil. And it might nibble off one of the tubers here, okay? Now, these have normally got 3 or 4 tubers. We've just broken this one off. I'm not worried at all by it because I know that it's going to regrow new ones as well. So that little bandicoot nibbles on part of this, wanders off and does the same for the next one. But it's propagating every single one of them. Now for our people, this time of the year they're still hydrating, so this is only a little thin one still. They do get as probably about thick as your thumb, so you can get up to about that thick and quite big. If this one's got 10 tubers, women and children would take 2. One would be for food and one would be replanted elsewhere.
Just look at the smaller fish traps we have in the Albany area. They're quite significant, but the ones out here are just amazing. They're huge. They go back, there's so many of them. We know that supported big numbers of people at certain times of the year. The summertime, people inland always knew when certain fish species were coming into the inlets and using them by a certain flowering tree, the wandu or the warrant. When that flowered, that coincides with salmon coming through, as well as that other big schooling fish. I think 1847 was the last time we were actually permitted to burn in southwestern Australia before it was taken away from our people. And we've actually been working in really closely with the Denmark community about actually doing some gentle winter burns to start. So it has been, it's 170 odd years since we were last allowed to burn. And I've mentioned it plenty of times before, the young ladies learnt all of the medicines. So, but you'd be gathering, you know, the small animals, and certainly lots of your fruits, your grains from your wattle and your acacia as well. But medicine's intimate knowledge. You became the doctors, okay? And whereas young blokes would go off with the fathers, and we'd learn to hunt for the big game. So, you know, the kangaroo, the emu, and things like that. And we had to be quite good at that as well. And we'd make some of the bigger tools like the axes or the quoich, you know, the towik, which is a little club, and the boomerang, the curl. The young ladies also had their main tool, which was the digging stick or the walking stick called the wanna. But also, they also did make tools called tarps, which is like a little serrated edge knife, and using resin from the blackboy tree, the parlock tree. They generally come off in nice flat slabs, normally around about 10 centimetres in thickness, a bit like this one here. What we have here is a prop stone. These were actually homes. I mean, they also doubled as traps, but they became homes for animals. So we're actually farming animals, animal husbandry. It wasn't just the racehorse goannas using these, you know, there were the king skinks, the yondies, some of our little native mice, you know, the mardus and the other ones were using them, as well as, you know, dugites, the dobich. So we don't call these lizard traps anymore. We actually call them carder, a racehorse goanna, maya for home. My role is to pass on information. That's what part of certainly Noongar initiations, I guess. We didn't do the circumcisions down here. We did cuts, but we didn't do that circumcision down there, which, thank God. But part of it, and one of my elders once said to me, he said, part of your initiations was learning and passing on of knowledge. Adopt both ways as well. We look at country as one, you know, but we certainly look at it from both sides of things. We look at it from a scientific point of view, we look at it from a Western point of view, and we also look at it from an Indigenous point of view as well. Totems, and you know, it's amazing, and I'm really glad that Auntie Lynn has said that as well, because I think we all need to have at least one or two totems. You become the protector of that particular species, whatever it is, whether it's a plant, whether it's an animal, whether it's a tree, you know, or perhaps even the waterway as well.
Bringing the community together to observe and record the Nullaki through different ways of knowing engaged the Denmark community, strengthening connection with each other and this special place. The festival of events ran for 5 weeks, followed by a month-long exhibition of artworks created during the project. These beautiful artworks were completed by local school children and the community during the festival. Deepening appreciation leads to deeper caring. The cultural tour of Poison Point, an important cultural place on the Nullaki, was led by Larry Blight, Manung leader and educator, sharing his wealth of cultural knowledge and his amazing passion.